Welcome to Journey Through the Gate, your paranormal portal podcast, as we delve into the many questions and wonders brought on by the supernatural experience. What's on the other side of the gate? Let's find out together. Scooby-Doo episode, Glenn. Yup. Here's to 1923, gatekeepers. How about that? Yup. How about that? I don't know how many of you have ever seen that before, but I am thrilled that I could grab a 100-year-old cartoon that was dropped on January 1st, 1923. That's when it was first played in the theater. So, what better entrance, right? For our second half, our double header, our 2 scoops of Steve with sprinkles and flannel, I'm going to bet. I wish I had a nice flannel shirt. Buffalo plaid. Got my hot tea. Got my, it's my Ouija cup. Anything can happen. Steve's always got voices going on behind him. How are y'all doing tonight? Happy 1923 to 2023. 100 years of haunting and entertainment and talent and the inventions that they had, the stuff that we went over last night. Let's get Steve in here. I think I hear him. You rattling around in there, Steve? He's hiding behind my microphone. Come on in here. Welcome tonight, too. Ooh, I can't hear you, sugar. And you're upside down? Did you do that on purpose?
Oh, me?
You got your name is upside down and backwards. Is that a spell?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, but you're upside down, but currently upside down.
just
How did
being,
you do that?
I don't know.
Steve.
Ancient Chinese secret.
Oh boy, here we go, folks.
And I didn't wear a buffalo plaid tonight. There's a little bit of plaid on the collar and on the sleeves, but
I was saying I wish I had one, a nice soft one. It's been beat up a little bit.
I ordered a yellow one. I've had several people say
black.
They'd like to see me in a yellow one. I've got a red and black and
am I muted?
Blue
Who's
and
muted?
black.
Are we muted?
I think
Testing.
he was talking
One,
about me
two,
when
three.
I first came on. I'm
2, 3.
setting up another
chickens. 1, 2, 3. Chickens. I'm good. Are you good?
Testes.
1, 2, 3.
3. Wait a minute.
All 3 of them. Count them. Okay, so here's that. Did you see that? First of all, we got to talk about Felix real quick. 100-year-old cartoon, Steve. Did you catch the tail end? Steve's got a lot going on. He's been low crawling through the house to get to his microphone.
In place. There's some kind of conflagration going on up the street. There's
low
the
crawling
teams
to get
out
to the
there.
mic.
There's people yelling through a bullhorn and people standing out on the sidewalk looking, and the cops trying to shoo them away.
Pancake says we're fine.
I'm far enough that I'm out of range, so I'm not worried. But I did lock all my doors. Just to be
out
sure.
Out of range of what, Steve? You sounded so sure.
Out of range of any gunfire. I mean, it's the Wild West, the high desert. You know, Marshall Dillon has to go after the bad guys, him and Festus. But, I thought, what if the guy was to make a run for it and through the backyards and front door and the back door, all the windows, I made sure.
Is Mulder on the guard?
Mulder's on asleep over
He's on the guard.
He'd lick him.
So, all right, head down. If you have to low crawl, we'll understand. Take the mic with you onto the floor.
If you hear gunfire, I'm going to hit the floor. But
if I heard, you better. Everybody keep your ears and eyes open.
Wind over here to wind over here.
Please don't.
And they're just about head level, too.
We don't need that. Okay, good. Good.
They'll smoke him out. I never understand that. Somebody blockades themselves in their house. The first thing, we got to go get him out. Well, unless it's a hostage situation, just leave him in there.
Why you got to poke around? Just people.
Cut the power and the water off. He'll come out eventually.
It could be so simple. I'll do mine. You do yours. Don't get yours on mine. And don't
your
take
chocolate
mine.
And my peanut butter.
Don't take mine. I won't take yours. Leave me the F alone.
I gotta say hi to Midnight Society. You're my favorite person
Wisdoms
in the
by
whole
Cisco.
world.
Get them here, folks. I'll put that on a t-shirt.
Midnight Society. She and I are working on some secret projects.
Just please don't get yours on mine.
So
I don't want it.
There's 4 of them. There's
2
of them. Midnight Society and I are working on 4 projects together.
You and your secrets.
2 of them are so secret we can't even tell each other all the details yet.
I love a mystery. So what did you tell me what you thought about Felix? I'm half
I liked Felix. I always enjoyed Felix. He was always into something.
Do you remember the clock, Steve?
Yeah.
Does anybody remember the clock? The eyes and the tail would go.
Tail, yeah, yes, ma'am. My mom had one in the kitchen.
To find only there's a certain magic with my spirit guides. I'm telling you what, when I say go find me stuff that I can show the gatekeepers, this wonderful live chat we have here, and welcome all the new people in here. And if you have not hit like, please go out, hit like. You just come right back. It just takes a second. It's the best free. Oh, you had Aunt Edna had one of those clocks. It's the best free way to help us out here with the algorithms. Go in and comment in the live chat. If you're driving 10 and 2, we don't expect you to live chat up in here, but maybe go later on and put a comment or something. And and even if it's a criticism, just be nice. We're
hit that thumbs up like it owes you money.
And in the live chat, I'd like to introduce you to my wonderful mods. If you see that they have a blue wrench, if you're on the inner tubes, if you're over there at the big YT, why? Because we love them.
Why? Because we love you.
And if you're over there, then you can see that they have a blue wrench, and there's quite a few of my mods in here. God love them. They are Black Ops mods. They are sweet as honey, but boy, I'll tell you what. If you act up,
they're not afraid to crack skulls with those wrenches.
This is what they bake you, Steve. You remember. Let me see if I can find it. So deep behind all the skeletons and sassy cats and
Cisco's got 40 acres and a wood chipper.
Here we go.
She don't care.
Here we go. Oh, I'm telling you what. A couple bags, lime,
a little
shovel.
Bit of lime, a little bit of
Yep. Ask anybody that knows me what's in my trunk. Old Blue's in my trunk. I carry a sledgehammer with me. I do too. It was so funny when Mario called up. It says true story. Mark calls up his son, who happened to be a police officer in a town I had to go through to get to my job. And I overheard a conversation one night. It says, "Have you ever seen a little redhead, the blue sledgehammer?
Stay away.
Please don't put her in jail. Just bring her to me. Don't put her in jail." Oh gosh, but you better let her have her sledgehammer too. All right. So, what was I doing, Steve? I've lost track.
How about Felix the cat?
All right. Well, I think he did a good job, and I think it's amazing. January 1st, 1923, 100-year-old cartoon, and it's about ghost busting. I think it was fortuitous. I think it was meant to be serendipity, destiny, unicorn glitter, and whatever. But, I was introducing the mods. So anyway, just be chilling here, because this is the kind of place you can come in here and talk about your experiences, have questions about experiences, UFO, cryptid, chupacabras, big feet, hey Caillou, and everything else. And these mods are going to make sure everybody's chill with you. And this is like the best next level paranormal.
If you don't start none, there won't be none.
Absolutely. Metaphysical support group you've ever stumbled into.
I was looking up Felix. He was created in 1919.
Woo.
That's hard to believe that there's a cartoon that's over 100 years old. And he also had two nephews, Inky and Winky.
Inky and Winky.
And his significant other is Kitty, named Kitty White or Marie in the first 3 years of the silent cartoons.
I think that deserves what's her name?
Kitty. Kitty White or Marie.
I bet she looked just like this. Wait a minute. I got a kitty. Hold on. Wait a minute. Here we go. Is that the best thing you ever saw? Look at that. That was awesome.
And I'm trying to remember. I think he did advertising for stuff, I believe.
Oh, shoot. What was I looking for?
But some of these cartoons are kind of racy. References to alcoholism and prohibition were commonplace in many of the Felix shorts.
I don't know what the hell I was doing. Okay. That's incredible. So anyway, this is a wonderful chat, and hello to everybody in here, gatekeepers and everything else. Friends. I'll tell you what, 1923 is about just absolutely knocked me on my butt. But I got it all done.
A lot of stuff going on in 23.
We've got a menagerie for you today. I mean, if that wasn't enough, that I was able to stumble onto that, and YouTube allowed me to share it with you. I thought it was a treat. I wanted to have it in here for the what do they call it, Steve? The posterities?
Yeah.
The historical
Internet's forever.
The annals of history. Is that what I was shooting for?
That sounds good to me.
Okay. So moving on.
Posterity, perpetuity, whatever you want.
So yeah, and it's a trip. And then I saw it, and of course, recorded and stuff for you. Sorry about the typos, but it is what it is. It's Cisco. It is what it is. And it was amazing to me that had a Scooby-Doo ending. And I'm thinking, so many things. I mean, we never realized when something was done first, whether it was a novel or an old cartoon, or, I mean, if that was a Scooby-Doo ending, I don't know what was. It wasn't even a ghost. Now, what it was doing coming out of the dirt behind the tombstone and trying to get this farmer off his land and all this, but, it's 100 years ago. And people were absolutely thrilled to see 6 minutes of something like that. Like right before a movie, or when did they come out with newsreel, and what was it, Telltone News and Newsreel?
Pathé and some of those, they had it from the UK and from France. And
what was the name?
That was how people got their news.
Glenn, when did they start that? Do you know offhand?
Newspapers or no sign of Ted. The waggy tails are taking him hostage. He's sheltering in place.
Yeah. He sent me an email and said he'd be popping in and out. He's got to get up early and do some stuff. And yep. Glenn caught it. So yeah, there you go. So yeah, so hi to everybody. I know I missed so many, but I know what I was doing. We have somebody that's not feeling well, and I was looking. I get distracted by the cats. I often do. I wanted to make sure we did this. I got so much stuff, guys. Here we go. I want to send that out to anybody that needs healing tonight before we get started. And, we got people out there that's, from everything from common cold and pneumonia to sore feet and bunions and blisters and just the whole gamut.
Diarrhea, pyorrhea, gonorrhea, you name it, somebody's got it.
For the love of God, start eating right.
God bless.
Eat your greens and start getting on some herbs. But high vibes and love and no kidding, healing energy sent your way. You know who you are. All right, back to your regular scheduled program. Wait a minute, that's something else. Wait a minute. Oh man, it's gonna be a night, Steve.
I'm telling you, I'm kind of wound up myself.
All right, well here we go. So this is what we think we have for you. I have a little bit of a murder mystery, and you decide. I mean, all I can do is give you the facts. 1923. I've got the we've got okay, we had the Felix, and we've got the wonderful short story WW, gosh, it was right there on top of my tongue. I almost had it. It'll come to me. The Monkey's Paw, and that was written in, I think, 1917, I believe. And there was adaptation, 1923. It was a silent film, and it was released that year, which is an amazing amount of horror and haunted and mystery and murder.
And there's a story,
in that
moral
year
there too. In the Monkey's Paw, be careful what you wish for, because you might just get it. I was going to narrate it and surprise everybody. That thing's 26,500 words long. That'd take me a week to narrate it and edit.
And I was going to do. I was
maybe
going
in the future.
I was going to do it too, and I just didn't have time this week. I've been constant just doing videos for this weekend. So, I was going to voice over some or whatever, but this is what we have. I think we're really lucky to have that cartoon and to be able to see that and to be able to share that, because it's just incredible to me. Ghost busting, and it's a Scooby-Doo ending, and it's one that was playing in a theater 100 years ago. This last January.
Cathedra, what are you talking about?
What is she talking about? Steve,
check your name on. It looks all right to me.
Yeah, it looks all right to me. What's the matter? It's a
don't know how that happened.
He's messing with my head. Hey, Melissa, welcome
I was
in.
hoping it was a funny honey kind of night.
AJ K's been here and Salvador's listening, but he's on his phone. Fast hit me. He's here. Are you kidding me? I know I missed so many. Vixen Doe, she was here early. She sat through all the Griffins here. Hello, welcome. If I missed you, Renice, hello. If
I think it's just upside down. I don't think it's reversed.
We'll try to catch you. Steve is in the mirror, looking back, turning around, looking back at us.
I've stepped through the mirror.
Yeah, it's like that's what he's inside the portal looking out.
Yeah, the portal's right over here.
That's kind of what it looks like.
Stage
Are we going to get voices tonight? So
that's a possibility.
Steve
may have
couldn't
gunfire.
Narrate it, and I couldn't. I was going to do voices and everything. I even practiced, and I was going to do the old English version too. So maybe next year. But I did find you. Now, I wanted to say again why it's important. The story as written, and like I said last night, Steve's going to understand. Our authors in here is going to understand, and the people that like to read good stories are going to understand that. There's a reason that authors pick certain words and take you down a journey, basically. And anytime that they take this man's stuff and change it, even alter it a little bit, it changes the whole thing. So it was important for me to find a version that stuck to it, But the 1923 version, as I said, was a silent version, and it was very dark. It's set at night during a storm in a cottage out in the rural country, out in England someplace. I forget exactly where. But hey, Echo. So it's dark anyway. But the most important thing is to, like Steve said, the moral, the wishes, and the fact that then they were so intrigued by this India and Egypt and everything. If you look back at all the Agatha Christies, they were going to India. They were Casablanca. They were, you know what I mean? They were always going on these excursions to the desert and stuff like that. So, and anything, somebody said it in the chat last night too, I forget who, that anything back then in books that came out of India, had magic in it, came out of India or Egypt. And it was so popular back then. Well, it is too in the Monkey's Paw, but remember, Monkey's Paw was written in like I said, 1912, 1917. And then they did it in 1923. I think there was an earlier version came out of Britain. And then this one that I got you is in 88, but there's so many in between. More you get away from the original, I guess some people would say it adds in because some have a more explicit CGI effects, or I've seen it's been like 3 or 4 different movies in the past 20 years have come out, but it's very modern, so they add to it, and sometimes when you add to it, it takes away, Steve.
Yeah.
So we have that
too much. It can be too much, which is why I love the old horror films with the practical effects. Didn't have all the CGI; they had special effects, but it was like blood and prosthetics and stuff. It wasn't computer generated, which to me just looks phony.
Exactly. And it also takes away from the original thought, I think, from the author. So we're going to play that more toward the end. I think I'm going to have to close this. You guys getting any kind of buffering? Are you guys good? Are you good on your side,
on my
Steve?
end, and the stream looks good. I'm watching over here on this monitor.
Okay. I'm looking for something
on
for
the YouTube side, but we look good, and we look marvelous.
Forgive me if this pops right on screen, but I think we're going to start with this guy. Steve is my go-to for the first person I'm going to bring up. We talked a little bit. Okay, cool. We're 5-5. We talked a little bit last night about this author, and Steve's my go-to guy on this. I read a couple of his things, but I never quite could catch the tiger's tail on him. I'm picky about authors. Sometimes I sink right into a new one, and some I just I stick with an author for a while, for a while King, and he kind of went like a little monkey there on me. But Kuntz, or I have to be able, when I get into it, just like movies. If you don't have me in the first 5 minutes in a movie, I probably left already. Same with a book. But boy, when I catch it, all the way, it's a trip. It's like a journey, just like a movie or anything else. You know what I mean? If you love to read, I couldn't get that, but Steve got it. And when I started talking to Steve about HP Lovecraft, I started to understand Lovecraft a little bit more. Now, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it really quick because in today's world, it's difficult to bring stuff up. But I brought up Al Jolson last night, somebody who was fighting things since, civil rights and everything from, since 1911. HP Lovecraft came from a world and a surrounding of him where he was on the opposite end of that. Some people hold that against him. I say, think about the times. You don't have to love everything about a person. Here's the thing. HP went through a lot of stuff. He had a tough childhood as well. And he was also the surroundings you're brought up in. To me, it's like, what is that person as an adult? I went through the same thing when I was in Virginia as a 3-year-old for my own family, who should have known better as Native Americans and set them straight. But you cannot take away from the genius of this man and what he gave to not only his fans and his dedication and his time and the amount of material. And I have a short here. And then afterwards, I'm going to cut my mic and Steve is going to talk.
And I'm going to cut my mic and
and there we go.
No, I've got some things to say about Lovecraft.
Yeah, and I think
good things. And
he's
difficult, but if you stick with it, the payoff is superb.
It's superb, and that's what exactly I think one of the first things you said about Lovecraft.
He is loquacious, as they say.
There you go.
He's very wordy. He made up words.
When Steve is done, I have a little surprise because I found a little film that won a lot of awards. I want to give full, to them and just go to their YouTube channel and show you this little short that they did on Lovecraft when Steve is done. So I wanted to give him homage, but again, here I try to tell the truth. If I tell you somebody's this way, at least one way or the other. I'm going to tell you the truth as I see it at this time with the information that I have at this moment. That's the best I can do to offer you, So forgive me if this just jumps on. There's no way to control that, but I can stop it. See if this is the right. This is it. Here you go, Steve. This is pretty good. It's a little bit of last night, but it's a little bit more.
I'm going to be pulling something up here that I want to go over if I can find it.
Hey, Glenn. That's so spooky, Steve. Really, honestly. I doubt that was the original cover.
Cisco, I'll be right back.
Okay, honey. I think that's amazing. That's a GIF. Somebody made that. Incredible. Oh, wow. Let's see if I can get that off. There we go. All right. So that was fair, right? That's a lot of work. That's a lot of dedication. Like I said, I don't know. I didn't know that much about him until I started digging to do this. And, he seemed to be very reclusive. I think his dad went into the mental institution when he was very young, and supposedly a syphilis, but neither one of his mother or him never came up positive for that, is the actual quote I read. His mom, a couple years later, they both went to the same sanitarium, so he was raised by a couple of aunts, and which, that's fortunate. But he had a sickly kind of school time. He was always, that thin kid, probably found everything in his small world. It was very small. And then he never finished high school. But the one crowning glory of his childhood was his grandfather. And seems to be, anyway, from the different things that I researched. And his grandfather really liked the Gothic stories and introduced him to, the Greek mythology and the gods. And he liked to make up his own stories and told them to young HP Lovecraft. And I think that was a huge escape. Like any young boy or young girl, reading Treasure Island for the first time, or Moby Dick, or Tom Sawyer, or, I don't know what the kids are reading today that takes them away, but it seems to have something to do with vampires, and most of the time, or, magical something or others. I think I'm trying to remember my first, gosh, what a long time ago. First book I ever read that took me away probably had to be, it was definitely supernatural. If it was just definitely mystery, or, Ripley's Believe It or Not kind of things when I was a kid, unless you want to go back to the little golden books. And I've got some book covers for you tonight too. So I don't know what's going on with Steve. He might be, under the gun out there. He said he was having some trouble down the street, so I don't know, but he's my go-to on HP Lovecraft. That's the extent of what I know about him. Wondering if we can go to something else. We can. How many people were here last night? I know we went over, because I don't want to do the monkey yet. I've got this one, and this one is a trip, but I want to keep it for you guys that didn't get to see Chaplin in the 1916. He had his own doll, and that's amazing enough, right? But look at the likeness on this doll. I challenge you to go find quality like this. You know what I mean? Today, unless you went to somebody who was a tradesperson, or somebody doing it out of their home, or a small shop if they still exist. Because back then you had people that could sew and did this all by hand, and then probably gave a bunch of people jobs that made it by hand and taught them how to do it. Hey Eddie, how you doing? Welcome in. Like I said, I don't want to do that one, and I don't know where Steve's. Oh, there he is. Man, I thought maybe they come and got you.
No, I'm
you're not a witness,
nosy.
are you?
I heard something, and I had to step outside.
I don't blame you.
There was an old grandma-looking woman coming down the street with a big pole.
Uh-oh.
And I said, "Everything okay up there?" And she said, "Yeah, a big bunch of nothing." So I guess the standoff is over with.
Well, now did she look like she had just been in a fight? Or
No, but she looked like she's ready to whoop somebody with that pole.
All right,
I
because
didn't
I was
get
going
off
to
the
say maybe
porch.
she went down there and handled it, and came back, so there's a big bunch of nothing.
Maybe
Took
she
4 or 5
did.
people out. You never know.
It's always a good day to whoop somebody's ass if they need it, you know. So
That's what I'm
that's the
saying.
attitude she
I don't
had.
jump to conclusions.
I'm not saying that, but that's
well, you probably missed most of that HP, but we were talking
I
about.
had it on my phone.
And I know it's was hard to read because I was going to do the voiceover, guys. I'm sorry, I just didn't have time. But we're talking about both his parents, same sanitarium, a couple of years apart, raised by a couple of aunts. His lucky star was the grandfather, who loved to make up his own stories, loved Gothic and the Greek mythology and Odyssey and things like this, and he made up his own stories, and of course that's where planted the seed. That's pretty much what I know about HP, and that he didn't graduate high school because he was kind of a sickly character, but he made up for it. He found a way to make it happen, and as Glenn said, 100% true, he did not become really popular and cult driven until 50, 60 years later.
It was like August Derleth or one of those guys that published his stories and kept publishing that believed in him. But yeah, he was a hit long after he was gone, sadly.
Yeah.
One of those tragic characters like Ed Wood, who never realized
right.
the fame and fortune until generations later, and people appreciated him for his. But
that happens to a lot of people, though.
Lovecraft was just a horse of a different color. That's about all you can say about him.
Right.
He was original, and he influenced so many people, and he had influences. I've got a video on 13 Past Midnight that I've played that's short stories by Lovecraft's influences, and those are good.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get a
Stephen King burn in the dark. Did a thing one time, and I think it was a story prompt or something for other people.
Okay.
But Lovecraft's Pillow. And you think about that. This guy,
oh wow,
he did his characters, his creatures, Cthulhu, and that whole mythos that came from his nightmares, his dreams. So you can imagine if you were in an antique shop or in an estate auction, and you saw Lovecraft's Pillow, and you bought it, and you took it home and slept on it, what would fill your head?
I don't know, man, but
I'd take a shot.
I saw some of the things. Now I've got this little treat. I think it's very cool. And I'm gonna see if I can screen share it. I think Steve is a little surprised for you too. Let me see if I can do it. Oh, Cisco's pushing button. Let's see what happens.
Indeed, Arkham House.
Yeah, and he inspired Batman. He inspired South Park. They even said so many different things, and I see that's the thing.
He's still making his mark in pop culture,
right. And even painters. I mean,
and in Portland,
did Van
Oregon,
Gogh ever think that sunflowers
had
would be
no
hanging?
Idea. Yeah,
when
I lived in Portland, they had an annual HP Lovecraft Film Festival, and a part of that was Cthulhu Con. It was like a horror convention. A whole lot of fun. You could watch movies based on his works, movies about him.
Hey,
and then some of the guests, I met Victoria Price, Vincent Price's daughter, was there. She's written a wonderful book about her father. I have a signed copy.
Wow.
But just to be able to talk to Vincent Price's daughter, that was just
that's incredible. I got to talk to Hans Holzler's daughter.
He's one of the closest things we have to American royalty, I think. And people think he was British. He was just a classically trained stage actor. He's from St. Louis, Missouri. You don't get much more middle America than that.
So true. And that's the thing too, is like the people I've got to meet. Richard Sennett, which I'm going to get on the show again now. Guys, I want you to go look up Richard Sennett, and he's also on Facebook. Go in there and friend him, click, whatever. This is old school. There's so much wisdom. If you really want to know about ghosts, if you want to know about hauntings, if you want to know about EVPs that'll knock your socks off. I was a little girl sitting in front of the Zenith. I say it all the time, but cross-legged, don't sit too close. You're going to hurt your eyes. That I was that kid.
I used to hear that.
And watching people that said that they were, like on these early shows that got to talk to somebody that they, the local historical society or the local paranormal society from the university or whatever. He was one of those guys when I was a kid. And he's still giving ghost stories, still writing books, still he draws the spirits he sees. And he was part of one of the best EVPs I ever heard. He was the one with the pool balls. They actually recorded the pool balls from like 80 years before, and took it around, got it analyzed, and found out that it would only match up to the original ivory. The sound.
Yeah, because they were trying modern pool balls and couldn't get the same sound.
Richard
and
was
then
in
they
on
figured
that.
out that, well, back then they were made out of ivory, so they located some ivory pool balls, I think in a museum or something.
And it matched.
They clacked them together and recorded it, and it matched exactly.
And
Amazing.
it matched. So I'm going to play this little hoodinky for you, okay? And it's going to knock your socks off. I suggest you watch it. I'm going to see if I can get the whole thing. Now, this is HP Lovecraft award-winning horror short film. And it's called it was done at the Night of Horror International Festival. Won a lot of awards, and you'll be able to see why. And this is on the Sky Road Films, and it's called Rood, Rood. And I think you're going to love these people. They did a hell of a job, and enjoy.
Watch it over here where I can see it.
It's incredible. Cisco don't disappoint, babe.
The book was written by the man behind the door. But if you just have the book, you cannot see him anymore. And if you just have the door without the book, then it's just an old piece made out of wood. But when you have both, paper and wood, then you will see the man who wrote the book. The man who wrote the book. Pulsare, appariere, leggere. Pulsare, appariere, leggere. Pulsare, appariere, leggere. Pulsare, appariere. Pulsare, appariere, leggere. Ex profundis infernorum. Pactum diabolicum.
What? Heck yeah. There you go.
How about that?
Ladies and gentlemen. How about that? What do you think? That's HP Lovecraft.
That's a very fitting tribute to Lovecraft. And just as a side note here, did you know that he loved cats?
He did. He did.
No summary
Just
of Lovecraft's life
don't
is
say their
complete.
names.
No summary of Lovecraft's life is complete without a mention of his passionate devotion to cats. He only owned one cat in his lifetime, but he fed and named every alley cat he found.
There you go.
So there you go.
All right. Here's to HP Lovecraft. That was a good homage. Those people are absolutely incredible.
Just,
the filmmakers
the
go and
Germans
sub
have
to
a
that
way with
channel.
horror, and they get Lovecraft. They get that whole aesthetic and that how to do it, how to put it together.
They did a fantastic job. So that's him. Now I wanted to tell you about this little murder real quick. I was digging around, like I said, in 1923, and the whole mess. And I went around the world. So many things went on. You had Rosewood was the massacre. Again, hatred and craziness and a spark. Some little things usually spark those things, and sometimes it doesn't take. It takes a lot of little things, and then an explosion of people. I mean, there's from the Osage massacre to the Rosewood massacre to the to your Mother Nature doing it with the earthquake in Tokyo. I mean, it's just to do a year global is very hard, and so many murders and so many unsolved mysteries and things like that. But I wanted to get you one that made you think. Now, if you're in Britain, this might be kicked around more than here. Hey, Chris Jarvis, welcome in. this might be kicked around and fast. If I didn't say hi to you and slow hello and everybody else I missed, I'm so sorry. Hey, Richard, welcome in. And Richard says hi from Washington, Steve.
Hello, Richard from the high desert of New Mexico, my friend.
Yeah, Richard G. He might be over from your channel, sweetie. And Vixen Doe, darling, if I didn't say hi to you and just everybody, I love y'all. So I wanted to get you one that would think, and I thought, well, it's kind of cheating. But wait, it's kind of cheating because it ends in 23. It doesn't begin in 23. But I thought it'd be fun to give you guys the facts, and you come, because to this day, 100 years later, a lady just wrote a book, very, very good. Listened to several of her interviews on it. And her last name is Thompson too, but no relation, she says. And she has a very interesting take on it, and it's kind of like your Lizzie Borden kind of, and not the crime itself, but the feel of it, where people are wondering, did she do it? Did she not do it? Was she guilty or not guilty? So I want to offer it to you, and I thought I'd just bring you the facts, and you decide. So, and like I said, I had to go backwards, so that's what we're going to do. On January 9th, 1923, in Holloway Prison, the 29-year-old Edith Thompson collapsed in terror at the prospect of her hanging. Heavily sedated, and that's an understatement from what I've read, almost unconscious, she was carried to the gallows by 4 prison guards. She was also cuffed, her feet and her hands were tied. And they had kept her in that sedated for a couple of days, off and on. It was quite horrific from what I've read at that point. In Pentonville Prison, the 20-year-old Frederick Bywaters, who had tried since his arrest to save Thompson from imprisonment and execution, was hung himself. Hanged. Sorry. I wrote it, can't even read it right. Now, remember, we're going backwards. Mr. Percy Thompson, a shipping clerk who worked in London, and his wife Edith, pictured here, were walking along the Belgrave Road towards Kensington Garden Street, where they lived. At this hour of the night, the street was almost deserted. However, they were not alone. The sound of footsteps behind them quickly approached. Those footfalls ushered in the deaths of all 3 people, although not all at the same time. And here they are. There's Percy. And there's the little Edith. Look kind of happy. Cute little couple, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Percy was attacked, which resulted in him being stabbed, and Edith being knocked to the ground. And the attacker fled. Now, Percy was stabbed several times, multiple times from what I understand, in the neck. I've heard both the attacker jumped out of the bushes and ran up from the bushes up behind him, much as I described there. And Edith was just all aghast, and there was a tussle. She's thrown to the ground. Percy's fighting for all he's worth, yet the attacker got the best of him with a knife, stabbing him in the throat. And of course, as stated, fled. There's Edith there. She looks like she could be up to something, doesn't she? Now, Edith, understanding a little bit about her, she is 28. She has no children, doesn't want them. She's successful. She's a milliner, which she's hand sewing and hand custom making hats and jackets and wonderful things. And if you saw the factory she worked in, it was like a long lunch table, and it looked like a happy work environment, because everybody was just kind of chill, drinking tea, and they had their sewing, and they were all sitting, but it was a line that never ended. It was like a table that never ended, and ladies on both sides, and all their stuff in front of them in the piles, and they just had their little sewing kits and stuff, and they were just going at it, putting lace on stuff and things like that. She was very successful from what I hear, and made money, but her husband was always gone. He had, he was off on the ship all the time, And so was this next character. Now, these are some letters that were found, and I think this was her undoing, because she was writing to this Bywaters guy. She destroyed the letters from him. He didn't destroy the letters from her. If it's something you don't learn anything from me, please learn you don't put anything in writing. And if you get it, destroy it. Because she wrote so many letters to this guy, and he kept most of them. And the funny thing is, before I read this, I got to show you this picture. This is them. This is Edith. This is her husband, Percy. Okay. And this is Bywaters. And this is the guy she's having the affair with. And Percy introduced her to him. And this is where they went on vacation together, and after which they all moved in together because this guy needed a place to stay and crash for a couple weeks. And that's when the affair really got hot. And when he left and he would go on these little excursions, she would write him letters, and the letters would be her undoing. And the letters, other than the fact that in 1923, and I state this because I think it's important, in 1923, she was 28. She was successful. She was childless. Okay. By choice. Openly states the fact, no, I want to concentrate on my career and help my husband and pay for the house and doing things that women didn't really do in 1923. You know, kind of like a Mary Tyler Moore kind of chick, right? But she's having an affair with the guy who's living there, and she's writing letters, and she's putting things like this in it. She's telling this guy in these letters that she's trying to kill her husband. And whether she did or not, I couldn't find trace that proved that she did give him poison and he had no reaction, because there's nothing written. No 911 wasn't called. You know what I'm saying? Is she just putting that in the letters to entice this guy? I don't know. Or did she really do it? And she's just complaining about it and saying, I'm trying to get rid of him. If I get rid of him, or if he was gone, we could be together. That kind of stuff. Here's in her words on 24 April 1922. Now, this is before the attack. Edith Thompson wrote, I used the light bulb 3 times. The third time he found a piece. So I have given it up until you come time. Now, what come time means, I have no idea, but I didn't change it. That's what she wrote. That's just weird. Again, this is her talking to the dark-haired guy about the blonde. Now, what about the blonde? Percy. That's her husband. This guy right here. What kind of guy was he? There are more than one rumor, more than one person that says that he was aggressive, he was controlling, and sometimes violent. In fact, the last night that this guy, Frederick Bywater, stayed at the place, he left and stated, and so did neighbors, because there was a big row between these two. And he had grabbed Edith's arm, and, a tussle happened, and she fell to the floor, and he decided it was time to get out of there. So they say. This is what I've discovered. This was in another letter that she wrote to him that he kept. This is how they spoke back then. I think the buoyed up means that she floated. Does that make sense, Steve? Can you see this? I was buoyed up with the hope of the light bulb. So I'm thinking, like,
yeah, she was elated, is what she's trying to say there. She was full of hope.
It's unfamiliar, but I didn't, I was buoyed up with the hope of the light bulb.
What she's doing, she's broken the light bulb. She's put it in his food.
In his mashed potatoes, Steve.
She's trying to feed him glass.
In his mashed potatoes. I'm telling you what. Anyway, there's stories. Never mind. I was buoyed up with the hope of the light bulb, and I used a lot
Big pieces
too. Not powdered. And it had no effect. I quite expected to be able to send you that cable, but no, nothing has happened from it, Edith Thompson.
Yeah, she's already admitted to it right there.
These are the letters.
But mashed potatoes was not a good agent of delivery for chunks of glass.
For powdered and chunks of glass. Oh, man. I'm telling you.
It wasn't powdered. She used big pieces.
Yeah. So
should have put it in something crunchy.
Now, keep in mind, at the trial, okay, because he did in fact stab her husband. She says she didn't know about the plan and was amazed, which is why, she wasn't that good an actress. She was amazed and tossed her to the ground and the hole should be all right. I'm surprised he didn't like pop one in her kneecap or something, make it look good, or shoulder hit, But anyway.
Yeah, you should have stuck her just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Blood anyway to make it look like.
Stick her a little bit, just a
little. Give her some defense
pinch.
Wounds.
Just a little pinch. But so anyway, she swore to her innocence, and of course she doesn't think any of these letters exist. Now, although vague, and again, this proves nothing. This does not prove that she did this to her husband or coercing him. She's not saying, would you please kill my husband? But it does kind of lean to it. Does it not? But does that make her guilty? Because Percy did die.
Well, she could have been lying to that guy. Who knows? This
is what I'm saying. Percy did die. So did a wife goad her young lover into killing her controlling husband who's sitting in the middle? Look at this poor dude. No offense, no disrespect to the dead. You know what I'm saying? But does this guy not know something's going on here?
He knows he's been cuckolded.
Something. I mean, come on, fellas. Here she is. Look at her. She's aloof, looking away. Look, poor Frederick. If he doesn't look like a guy that could be taken and get wrapped around a finger, I've heard he's extremely good looking. From this lady who wrote this book, I would say she's closest thing to an expert not being there as you can get. But according to her, he was extremely good looking. Probably started Edith is getting nervous. The last time Frederick left, he stopped. His letters got further and further apart. He came back and didn't come straight there. He was in town a couple days before he stopped over. His letters were kind of leaning back a little bit. It wasn't all this kissy face stuff. And she's kind of like, what's going on? I'll put another light bulb in my husband's mashed potatoes. Don't go nowhere.
But, so he's got resting bitch face, as they say.
Yeah. So fight it. Feisty. It's not funny, but murder isn't funny, folks.
It's not.
I don't mean to make light, but you know what I'm saying. Some people fall for this today, so you can't put anything.
You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
100 years ago they were doing the same thing, right? Poor guy, but still But right here, I think you got Percy for real, and you would have had to. You could see that he had a little fire going on there as far as anger. You could see.
Well, just look at his body language.
He's
got his arms crossed.
But then again, the dude's got
the other guy's just passed out of sleep. She couldn't care less.
He might
She's
have a
looking over
reason
here
to be a little pissy.
Maybe just a little.
He might have. So Feisty Edith Thompson wrote more than 60 letters to merchant seaman Frederick Bywater, asleep here on my left, your right, his right, her wrong, his right. I don't know. Musing on how she could escape her marriage. She's looking at it. She's like, I got to get out of here. Out of here. That's
just
what she's saying.
Just leave.
This is what, Stephen, you took the words right out of my mouth, because here they are again.
Back then, you could disappear.
He's at this point, he's trying to escape in his mind. And I don't know. She can't hold on to either one. I don't know what's going on. And there she is, stuck in the middle with you, So anyhow, as stated in the very beginning, this is how it started. And I started off with how it ended. Because on January 9th, 1923, in Holloway Prison, the 29-year-old Edith Thompson collapsed in terror at the prospect of her hanging. Nobody thought they would do it. She was put to death because in her letters, 12 jurors in that time felt that an no children, successful, working, always out working. What was she thinking? And paying bills. And when she was home, she was lonely because her husband was never there. And when he was there, apparently he had an attitude. So she did stuff. The guy who did this went to his rope swearing she was innocent and said she knew nothing about it. So Ken putting in words and saying, I wish my husband was gone. I mean, these aren't her words. These are mine, but you get the idea. I wish my husband was gone. If he was gone, we could be together, yada, 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 yada. And then that guy goes off and does something, or that girl goes off and does something. Should you be hung? And if so, watch your words, because there's a lot of words in writing nowadays. Just saying. Those emails may not have disappeared. Those text messages, those DMs, those recordings, those, birthday party, and somebody's got their phone going and, oh, hey, I got her. You should have heard what she said. I got him. You should have heard. Nowadays, they flip it on you, but they were doing it 100 years ago, too. Did she deserve to hang? Steve, what are your thoughts?
Well, if guilty, obviously she deserved to hang. Murder's murder. There's no excuse for it. Again, back then, she could have just disappeared. They had no way of tracing people. You didn't have any type of ID.
She could have left.
You left no digital trail. She could have just disappeared. And she
got on a bus.
One of those videos that I make. She fled to parts unknown with that man and was never seen again, or whatever.
Went out and go out and get a pack of cigarettes.
What's that?
Went out and got a pack of cigarettes.
Got a wife and kids in Baltimore. Jack went out for a smoke and never went back. Yeah. Springsteen.
Oh man. I'll tell you what, I remember the last time I saw this guy, he played that song. And the last time I saw him, he was walking towards the ocean in a snowstorm, barely a jacket. There's a story, but I can't tell you the story, but this is how it ended.
One of them kind of stories.
That song was playing on my car radio, and I'm watching him walk away. And that song came on, and I was in Jersey, and he was just talking about it. It was weird. And then it was really cool because the snow in the streetlights, that look, and there he went and just disappeared like a ghost. The last time I saw him, he was one of those memory guys, but I was very young. We were young and stupid, but I think that's Jackie and Diane or something. So anyway, how cool was that? Poor Edith. I don't know. I don't think a couple of lines, in a letter, I think her actions and things like that. But again, you could have packed a bag.
In court, that would be hearsay.
Tuck a little money in your bra. A little bit, a little every week. You're making money, girl. Get your suitcase, get your bus ticket. I mean, if you're that unhappy, chances are Percy wasn't going to come and get her, I mean, if he's a merchant marine or whatever, the heck, go to the other side of it's a couple bus tickets and, waiting on waiting diners across the country.
Dye your hair, get a pair of sunglasses.
There you go.
Boom, gone. Don't know what happened to
Get a new name and get it, we weren't there, but I just think it's interesting that words could get you home. Because that's all they had. They had non-existent evidence.
A good defense lawyer, that would be hearsay. She was lying to the guy. She was just making that up.
Yeah.
She talked about being buoyed
She
with
was
hope.
not allowed.
She was just telling him that to pacify him, and she didn't really do anything. I would have to see some sort of forensic evidence that the husband had indeed ingested glass. Then you might have a case. Now, I don't know about the trial. That may have very well happened.
You
but
couldn't
apparently,
ask
they found her guilty if she
got
swung.
Now the caveat to that, and then we can move on, because like I said, I don't know. It's one of those that, I mean, it depends on who you talk to.
Yep.
You know, you can talk to lawyers, said, yep, she's guilty. Well, if that's it, then watch your text. Because if you tell, I'm just saying, it's words, right? And vague words at that. You know, it's like till your time comes. What does that mean? It
was a story. She was taking notes for a murder mystery.
And she wasn't allowed to testify. You know, or I could be wrong on that. I got a lot of court cases in my head. You know, either way, I know she said stuff about, they read her letters out loud, and that's what killed her. She had all that private stuff, and she got pretty saucy. Woo! Let me tell you, 1923, again, just like us. They just hid it better. And I think we have been given this nostalgia kind of sepia of the mind when we look back at old things and they look old, and, you know, 20-year-olds look like they're 50. I don't know what the heck that is, but it's true. And, you know, we think that, oh, they were so different. They were so delicate, and they were so moral, and they were so this, and, you know, they weren't.
They just,
you know, they were monsters just like us. They were monsters just like us. People trying to make it, and trying not to wind up in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong choice.
And again, that just murder is an extreme, especially for back then.
Yeah, but, you know, I mean, there was, Steve, we've sat here Monday after Monday talking about how people killed each other over the decades. You know, and then not only that, we've talked about the dead that they killed. You know, I mean, if you think about it, because we go all the way back to, gosh, we got Roman dead, and massacres, and Gettysburg, and Civil Wars, and French and Indian War, all kind of stuff. I mean, which way do you want to go? What continent?
Indeed.
It's been as far back as you go. You know, like I said, we're all that capable of that kind of carnage, but I think it's different degrees on how you tame it, and how far away from it you get, and how you're able to live, because it's not just you, it's the situation you're in. It's a consequence you're put in. Some of it is instantaneous, like, you know, you walk into a store and you don't realize it's being robbed, and all of a sudden you're an instant hero, and you turn into Billy Jack or something, and you knock the thing out of this, and you jump over the counter. I'm just saying, it happens. It's instantaneous choices. We really have nothing but that split second choice. And then there's that methodical, you know, chemically imbalanced psycho, you know, thing, but not born that way. Circumstance made that person through abuse and surrounding, you know, whatever it may be, a cave out in the wilderness, or, you know, a penthouse in Manhattan, you know, it doesn't matter where. I mean, that kind of psychotic conditioning, you know, and then you got all the chemical crap, the MK Ultra, and the frequency, and the, you know, it's like person doesn't hardly have a chance, Steve.
I'm telling you.
But you know what? If you're making wishes on dried up old monkey paws out of India, and you're greedy about it, and you think you're smart, and you got a little sarcastic on you too, even if you don't mean it, you know, you can really get yourself into a pickle. Now, I'll tell you what, I've spoken a little bit about it, and this video, see, it's 9:30. Yep, that's about right. It's about 25 minutes. But this video is the closest thing that I could get that you could watch and actually see, because some of the older stuff is very black and white and very shadowy and very difficult to watch. But this one's a humdinger, and I think you're going to enjoy it. And Steve, do you have anything to say about Monkey's Paw before we watch this? And like I said,
other than be careful what you wish for, because sometimes you might just get it.
Sometimes you might just get it. And everything about
it's
this,
a great story.
The intriguing parts of this, like thinking again about how it was in 23. Again, I'll say, you know, all the Agatha Christie's, so many early, not in 23, but a little later, Abbott and Costello and going to Egypt and going to India. I can still see them in costume. Later on was all the Bing Crosby being rode
I'm
to
wondering,
Bali.
are those Laurel and Hardy movies? Are they in public domain? I would think they are.
They might very well be.
They are. We ought to show some of those one night. There's some good comedy there. And what's the Abbott and Costello one about the ghost that you showed before?
If you guys have not watched,
you need to go back and watch that episode.
If you're a regular gatekeeper, you've heard of The Time of Their Lives. It's Abbott and Costello, 1938, and that is a ghost movie that got it right, and you can get it on YouTube for free.
Yep.
So go look that up and watch that. Abbott and Costello, The Time of Their Lives. They get just about everything right.
Well, you showed it here on this channel, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
Don't go to YouTube and watch it free. Come back here and watch it free. Cisco needs those views.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Steve. I forgot to have that. Yep, it's down there, and I'll have to put it on that playlist. So, but it's excellent. So, anyway, the monkey's paw, and the monkey's paw itself. Back then, everything was that mystical kind of stuff. If you remember the original Boris Karloff, I believe, in The Mummy, and they all were. Was that in India? Glenn, anybody in the chat remember where that took place? But I remember they had to get tanna leaves, and they had to make it a tincture, like a tea. Basically,
I'm guessing if it was mummies, it was Egypt, but I don't know for sure.
Right. But there was times they moved bodies and they had stuff. I mean, I don't know where that.
Well, that was usually they'd get the mummy and take it somewhere else.
They were in a big cave.
That's when the shit would hit the fan.
Yep. And once they got that herb, that tanna leaves, that steam in the air, boy, that mummy woke right up and started killing people. It was an amazing movie. You should see it.
I never was afraid of the mummy. I mean, he was creepy, but run. Strike a match. Grab one end of that wrapping and run. Spin him like a top, like on Scooby-Doo. Unless he had you in a corner, the mummy was no threat.
Yeah, they really had to change it a lot. I really liked that. We did a show on mummies. I remember showing the stuff with the one with Brandon Fraser and so many good people in that that mummy. It got a little crazy in the second and third one, but the original one, I thought they did a good job. But they changed the mummy so much. But again, all that mystical stuff that was so big back then, so big, and all of this magical stuff, anything like that, all came from that area. So the main thing in this story is here's this guy, the dad, who's getting older, and he chose to stay home and take care of his family, raise his son, and work in the factory just like his son is now. And this one guy, he left in the military and went to places like India and used to write them letters. They were constant pen pals. And then he told the stories at the dinner table. It was a big deal. And he was finally getting to see him like after 20 years. And he had gone and got books and read up on India. So this guy was so intrigued about anything his friends had to say. And that's a big part of the story as well. I mean, here's this guy coming to the end of age. He's about to lose his home. They're having financial difficulties. His son is working. He's doing the best he can. And his wife sews and cooks and cleans and does all the things she's normally done, but a little slower than, but for years, and this is what they have. They're out in rural country and it's a stormy night and they're expecting a visitor. And I think you guys are really going to enjoy this. The other thing I pay attention to, the timing of the writing of this story is fantastic. Anything else you see, another version where they change the end and everything else, it's ruined. This is so good. Ready, Steve?
Roll that beautiful bean footage.
Here we roll.
I'm going to step out, but I'm watching.
Me too. I'm right here. W.W. Jacobs. I forgot it earlier. Excellent writer.
Check. He should have been here over an hour ago. Mate. Listen to that. I doubt if you'd even be able to find a place a night like this. Paths are bogged, the roads are torrent. That's what comes of living so far out.
Never mind, dear. Perhaps you'll win the next one.
That'll be him. I'll get him. Oh, Boris, I'm so glad you passed it all right. Oh, what a dreadful night. Can I take a photo? Come in. Here we are. Sergeant Major Morris. When he went away, he was a slip of a youth in the warehouse. Now look at him.
You don't look to have taken much harm.
Where were you stationed, Sergeant Major?
Lhasa, Madras in the south, a couple of years with the garrison at Kabul.
I'd like to go to India myself someday, just to look about a bit, you know.
Better where you are.
Matter of fact, I picked up this book. It's about India. I'll show you. Got some good illustrations. Some good ones as well. Now, let's see. Whereabouts are we? Oh, here we are. The land of supreme marvels. Now, have a look through that, Morris. Bring back some old memories, eh? Yes, I'd love to see some of those old temples, and jugglers, and fakers.
Fakirs.
Yes, fakirs. Anyway, it's certainly a very strange part of the world. What was that you were telling me the other day about a monkey's paw or something?
Oh. It's nothing worth hearing.
Monkey's paw? What's that?
Well, it's just a bit of what you might call magic, perhaps.
Oh, good Lord.
To look at. It's just an ordinary little paw, dragged to a mummy.
And what's so special about it?
He had a spell put on it by an old fakir, a very holy man. He wanted to show that fate ruled people's lives, and that those who interfered with it did so to their sorrow. He put a spell on it so that 3 separate men could each have 3 wishes from it.
Why don't you have 3, sir?
I have.
And did you really have 3 wishes granted?
I did.
And has anybody else wished?
The first man had his 3 wishes. I don't know what the first 2 were. The third was for death. That's how I got the paw.
That's a hint
If
right
you've
there.
already had your 3 wishes, it's no good to you now then, Morris. What do you keep it for?
Fancy, I suppose. I did have some idea of selling it. I don't think I will. It has caused enough mischief already. Besides, people won't buy. I think it's a fairy tale, some of them. Those that do think anything of it want to try it first and pay me afterwards.
If you could have another 3 wishes, would you have them?
I don't know.
How'd you do it then, Morris?
Simply hold it in your right hand and wish out loud. So let it burn.
If you don't want it, Morris, let me have it.
Pitch it on the fire again like a sensible man. Very well. But don't blame me for what happens. If you don't mind, I'll have to be going, otherwise I'll miss that train.
Get your coat.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Good night, Major. Good night. Come
night.
again. But I warn you, wish for something sensible.
I don't know what to wish for, and that's a fact. Seems to me I've got all I want.
It all sounds like the Arabian Nights to me.
Well, why not wish for some money? Say £200.
Oh, very well. I wish for £200. It moved. As I wished, it twisted in my hand like a snake.
Well, I don't see any money.
Must have been your fancy, Father.
Well, there's no harm done, but gave me a shock all the same.
Well, I think it's about time we were going up. Hey, Father?
I expect you'll find the cash tied up in a big bag in the middle of your bed. And something horrible, squatting upon the wardrobe, watching you as you pocket your ill-gotten gains.
Good night, Herbert. Just think of all that nonsense Morris came out with last night. Herbert and I had a hard time trying to restrain our laughter.
If you hadn't, Morris would have felt like a fool.
I suppose all old soldiers are the same. Arabian Nights nonsense. I mean, how could wishes be granted in this day and age? And if they could, how could £200 hurt you, Father?
Might drop on his head from the sky. Only one letter today. Doesn't look as though it contains £200. Might be a cheque, though.
Morris said things happen so naturally that you might, if you so wished, attribute it to coincidence.
Well, don't break into the money before I get back. I'm afraid it'll turn you into a mean, avaricious man. And we shall have to disown you. Goodbye.
Well, what good fortunes has the post brought? It's the tailor's bill for your suit. 18 shillings and threepence. Herbert will have some more of his funny remarks, I expect, when he comes home.
I dare say. All that thing moved in my hand, and that I'll swear to.
You thought it did.
I say it did. There is no thought about it. It actually moved. It may seem far-fetched to you, but the paw did come from India. There are numerous strange customs and tales in that book I showed Morris that you'd find hard to believe. An Indian, for instance, would not dare kick a cow to make it move because they believe that the animal possesses some sort of divine power, which makes them sacred. Naturally, their gods punish What's the matter?
I was asked to call. I come from Maura Meggins.
Is anything the matter? Has anything happened to her? But what is it?
There, Mother. Sit down and don't jump to conclusions. I'm sure you haven't brought bad news, sir.
I'm sorry.
Is he hurt?
Badly hurt. But he's not in any pain.
Thank God. Thank God for that.
He was caught in the machinery.
Caught in the machinery.
Yes. The firm wishes me to express their sincere sympathy to you in your great loss. I hope you'll understand I'm only their servant and merely obeying orders. I'm to say that Maura Meggins disclaim all responsibility. They admit no liability whatsoever. But in consideration of your son's oath, they wish me to present you with a certain sum as compensation.
Compensation? For how much?
£200.
Father has gone out again today. He's finding it hard. I cannot any longer predict what he will do or when he will be back. It does not seem like 12 days since the burial. I wish I could not remember it so well. I never saw my son. Perhaps I could not have brought myself to look at him anyway. My last memory of him is watching him walk so briskly down the road to work. It was exactly a month before his 25th birthday. He had so little experience of life. Today I found myself setting the table for 3. So silly. Once I nearly called him to come downstairs. The Reverend told me that he had rarely seen so many people paying their respects. He was always popular at the factory. Everybody liked him. Even Mr. Meggins came to the funeral, and he sent the largest and most beautiful wreath. It will be 3 months before we can place a stone at the head of the grave. Mr. Morton tells us that it will take that time for the earth to settle and harden. It saddens me to have to renew the flowers on a mound of earth.
Come back to bed. You will get cold.
It's colder for my son. Monkey's paw. Do you still have it?
The father in the cabinet, why?
I only just thought of it.
Thought of what?
The 2 wishes. We've only had one. We've got 2 more left. Go down and get it quickly and wish our son back alive.
Good God, are you mad? Wasn't 1 wish enough?
Get it. We had the first wish granted. Why not the second?
Coincidence. Go back to sleep. You don't know what to say.
Go and get it and wish.
But he's been dead 12 days. Besides, I was only able to recognize him by his clothing. If he was too terrible for you to see then, why, now?
Bring him back. You think I fear the child I nursed?
I wish my son alive again.
It's all right now, dear. You'll be back. Will you replace the oil, dear?
This is so well done. It's just the way he wrote it. Pay attention closely here. Can't get it. Stuck, Steve. Jeez, oh Pete. That's a writer. That's an author. 1917.
That's the best adaptation of that I've ever seen.
We spare no expense, Steve. This is the deal. And I need to say this before I get you, before I look at the chat, before I hear Steve. This is an author, and I'll tell you why. And every author and lover of a good author, a good book, a good short story, whatever it may be. The important part of this is in the beginning, they established they're out in the country. It's stormy, muddy. Nobody would trek out there, right? Here comes the late visitor, the soldier from India, fresh with monkey paw, okay? It arcs. Everything in between is a masterpiece. It's like a pot pie of the way everything is written. The character very, very eloquently, very short, very to the point, but it flowed.
And it doesn't telegraph the ending. If you didn't know the story, you have no idea what's going to happen.
None. And it's beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. But from the beginning, he's established very well an underlying current of nobody else would be there. Okay? And at the very end, she doesn't know who's on the other side of the door or if someone's on the other side of the door. Okay? The husband runs up the stairs, lies to his wife, and says it was a rat. He passed on the stairs, making the noise. Didn't want to open the door. He believes it with his whole heart. That he scrambles for the monkey's paws to stop it. Coincidence or no, everybody in that house believes that their son, who has been buried for, a week, they said. And she even says at that moment when she goes down, before she goes down the stairs, she says, I forgot the cemetery was 2 miles from here. Of course it's him. Her face lights up. She sick with grief, out of her mind. Who wouldn't be? flees to the door, can't open it. The lock is stuck. When it finally opens, just after he wishes, takes his third wish, sound stops. The author leaves you with the thought, was he there? Or was it the wind? Was he there? Was he really? And when you left that theater in 1923, because the adaptation that they put out in 1923, showed in theaters 100 years ago, was that adaptation, different actors, different filming, but it was word for word what W.W. Jacobs wrote. And that's why it's important, because you left that theater talking with whoever you saw it with you or saw it. Was he really there? Of course, nobody could be rose from the dead. It was the gate, in that version. In the book, it's a lantern beating on the wall, but very similar, very same effect. He wanted you to walk away from that story wondering, and talking with other people and spreading. That's how it got famous. It's not just that mysterious, can I get 3 wishes, which is in and of itself a hell of a story. And it's been told many times, whether it's a genie and rubbing a lamp, or if it's, that if you want to add in that moral thing, you can add in the Chinese not puzzle box, the Chinese button box, that one where if you hit the button, you'll get whatever $1 million, whatever the heck it is. It wouldn't be enough now. It would have to be like $1 billion or something. But if you hit the button, somebody somewhere in the world dies for you to get that money. There's always a caveat. Steve, what'd you think?
Again, that was the best adaptation I've ever seen. It's a great story.
Beautifully written.
And again, if you wish things into existence, there are repercussions across things.
Absolutely.
Things that are what they're meant to be. Things happen. I don't believe in coincidence, only synchronicity. So if something's supposed to happen and you wish it otherwise and it comes true, there are repercussions. So again, careful what you wish for, because you might just get it.
Yep. And, I thought that was so special because, you can't just show anything on here. And of course not, people don't want you to use their stuff. Absolutely. We honor that. But there's some things out there that people recorded on TV from a news station that was done by a news station out. And I forget, it's somewhere in the Midwest. And they did that themselves. That production. It was a special for Halloween, or it was something to do in their town or something like that. It's amazing. I've watched so many versions of this high school play. Seems to be very big in the Hindi atmosphere. They must really love horror over there. Very much like, you get a lot of the Japanese deep into the whole horror genre. It's just funny, the cultures and different, not everybody's like, ass over teacups for horror. So let's see what everybody thought about the Monkey's Paw. Donnie Cho was here and he said, I first learned about the Monkey's Paw through The Simpsons, and I saw that version, and you know what? It wasn't bad.
For a cartoon, it was decent.
It was good. It really was good. And if I remember correctly, very much like the Poe, the Raven they did, it was word for word. But very probably heavy on the English Cockney kind of accent and the ows and all that kind of stuff, because there's a lot of, this one very subtly eased up on the old slang and made it a little bit more universally understandable, but they didn't change the feeling. It didn't change the feeling. Guys, I'm worried about Steve. He's got, apparently there's something going down the street. I'm not buying the fact that it was just some lady with a pole saying it was no big deal, because it was all kind of cars out there and the blue and red flashing and stuff. Her tell, I don't know how good or how simple or how, bad it is. He's being so brave about the whole thing. But, and he's got, do y'all hear any voices tonight? Because, usually when Steve is on, there's something Maybe it's because we're not talking about ghosts. I don't know. But anyway, Monkey's Paw was fantastic. I'm glad you liked it. It was important for that reason for you guys. No, Glenn, you cannot have a monkey's paw. See, again, do you really think about it? How many times have we seen? Name them all. I want you to put your thinking caps on and go back now over the decades. You can do it. It's a strong group. We can do it. And think about the movies, stories, books, whatever. I don't care if it's an Aesop fable or what was the other one? Grimm's fairy tale. Grimm was grim. I mean, no joke. And all of that Disney stuff, those cartoon things, and it made fairies all cute and cuddly and stuff like that. And all of those fairy tales were horrific. I mean, there was ugly stepsisters cutting off toes and I mean, the poison apple, that's nothing. So exactly, Eddie. So the thing is back then, even I was absolutely shocked at, wait a minute, I didn't put somebody in the sandbox. If I put somebody in the sandbox, I apologize. I hit my phone. So name me a movie, a book, a story where the wishes turned out good. If I asked you to name me the same and the wishes turned out bad, you could throw them at me all night long. Even in some cases, Aladdin. There was a movie, I still remember the guy who did, I can't remember his name, but he played a djinn, and he would say, make a wish, and that was it. You were taken. And one of the scariest stories I ever heard, overall, from the person, the body language of the person, the experience, the storytelling, the whole shebang. It was about a djinn. And this man, it was like, I don't know if you guys ever saw, it wasn't Dawn of the, oh, wait a second. It was the vampires that were taking truckers, and the clinchy scene of the whole thing. I think it had, it was a bunch of vampires living in the middle of the desert on a cliff. It wasn't Dawn of the Dead. Day of the
Dead by Dawn, maybe.
It's close. I feel like that's close, Steve. Wishmaster, that was its slogan. 5 slabs of bacon for slow motion. That's absolutely correct. No, it was oh gosh. It had George Clooney was in it. We almost got ate by the vampire. Excellent prop guy. I forget his name, but he was a great guy. I mean, all kinds of wild stuff like belt buckles that turned into, little derringers and stuff. But
probably either Tom Savini or Rick Baker. They were the two masters.
No, not Lost Boys, but that was a good one. There you go, Eddie.
From Dusk to Dawn.
Bingo. That's it.
As I said, Dead by Dawn. That's a different movie, but
I felt like you were close. But the scene on that, when they pulled away and they got that shot, that you look behind that bar or whatever, saloon, or it was like a roadhouse, basically, you could say. And they got that shot, and it was just on the edge of the cliff, and at the bottom of the cliff was all the trucks and cars and people that they'd killed and ate. And it was just stacks upon stacks upon stacks. That was the shot, baby. That was the one right there.
That was the muddy shot right there.
You thought you'd seen it all because you'd watch people's throats spit out and eyeballs thrown across the room. I mean, you've seen it all, but that one got you, But in the monkey's paw, the thing that got you was that last part. Was he really there or not? And if he had been, the horrific of, oh my God, if she gets that door open and it's him, and he was dead in a thrasher, and he's been buried for,
Yeah, he would have been a mess.
Pet Cemetery, Mr. King. It's wild to look back, and again, just I'm not going to let you forget, Mr. King, about that one about the Something Wicked This Way Comes was inspiration, as well. And you can look back and see, I was a kid when this person was a kid. This is the stuff that I read, and then, oh wow, a movie, or a book. And you can't blame people for that, because we are all the data we have collected through our lives. We do it too. When we look at the case tonight about, Edith Thompson, again, I don't think she deserved to die like that. Do I think she should have packed a suitcase and left instead? Yeah.
Absolutely.
But that's me and my vantage point where I am. This girl could have been mentally something or chemically whatever. It could have been 12 men. It could have been, and I don't know I actually looked it up to see the composite of her jury, because I wanted to see, because Lizzie was judged by 12 guys in her time, and somebody mentioned it. I think it was Kathita in here that was mentioning about Lizzie and being judged in her time, and she was let off.
We delved into that. We did a deep dive on that one.
Big time. Huge.
There's some interesting things. Go back and watch that episode here on the channel.
Absolutely. Weeks of research on it. And I didn't dig that deep on her, but I got the gist, I read some letters. I saw some things. I listened to some people. But again, if a couple of words, even subtly, I mean, I don't even know if she fed light bulbs in the mashed potatoes to her husband or otherwise. And I'm going to tell you what, she's not the first chick to think it. And if you don't believe me, look back over the 100 years, go way back. This stuff has been going on forever. Again, like I said, we are all just, different degrees of controlling the monster that's in everybody, because you never know what life and circumstance can do to a human being. Some of it's instantaneous, like I said, Steve, and some of it's, over time and how you were raised and everything else. But, the monkey's paw is very well done. So 1923, I think we did it, Steve.
I think we covered that year very well. And I'm looking forward to whatever we do next. I like this taking a year at a time and doing it. We'll pick
what
years
happened
where there's
that
a lot of
year.
stuff going. I mean, there's something every year, but there were some years when there was just a whole lot of stuff going on.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to mention old Peg Entwistle one more time, because I think hers is a story, and I think Steve would agree, that is also a cautionary tale of, this is a woman who was doing fairly well, had a couple of blows, one right after the other, about 3 of them, and thought it was all over. And again, we don't know what was going on in her head, but she gave it all up, and at home, a letter actually was delivered that, gave her a starring role in the theater, playing the star part of a girl who commits suicide.
Yeah.
So if that is in the universe,
isn't it?
Throwing out lessons, Steve. So let's all remember Peg and hang in there.
If she'd appeared in that play or production movie, whatever it was, she probably would have faded into obscurity. Who knows? She might have been one of the biggest stars of the day. But what she did, right or wrong, she is a part of Hollywood.
Yeah. Oh,
she's
absolutely.
a part of the legend, the mystery, the mythos.
And some amazing ghost stories and recounts and, collection. I love the one of the 4 young men who didn't want to admit that they saw anything, but were so scared. They just had to come clean and ask for help. And you guys have been terrific tonight. So I'm going to throw some bacon out there, as always. But, and then recounted it. And there's 2 of them saw her walking up with the veil. And the fact that she folded all her stuff, left her purse, suicide note in the purse, tramped up that hill, which I hear is not easy.
It's not an easy climb. I've been up there as close as you can get to it.
Have you?
Yeah.
I've not been that close at all, so I can't thank you, Steve. I couldn't speak on it. And she climbed 50 feet, so so I hear up the H, stood there for a while, and
she thought
now
about
how
it. She
people
could have
know that,
climbed back down. She could have turned
maybe
around
took,
when she was hiking up
oh,
the hill. Because like I said, it's
so
not an
sad.
easy, and she's probably wearing heels. I mean, knowing
Yeah,
what
yeah,
the world,
yeah.
I
She
don't know.
probably
She might
took
have
those
kicked
off.
them off
Well,
and
they
went
took those
barefoot.
off too.
But,
That was one of
yeah.
the first thing they found was
Yeah.
and walked up there. Yeah, probably in stockings back then.
So she had time to think about it.
And stood up there, probably said one last look, one last goodbye over the whole city, goodbye, cruel world kind of crap, and flung herself off. And people still see her. I mean, it counts, not far back at all. Still to this day, see her leap off that H, so much sure of it that they call 911. Not unheard of at all. It's very common. That's incredible. So there's technology from she was 32, I think she did that. But I told it because the Hollywood sign went up in 1923. So I hope you guys enjoyed 1923, Steve. Thank you for going back 100 years with me.
Oh, my pleasure.
This whole weekend.
Been a fun trip on the Cisco time machine.
We had a double scoop of Stockton, and I sure do appreciate it. And I'll tell you what, I got about 3 minutes to laugh if you've got just about 3 more minutes for some of this guy. Because I wanted to see if you ever had any of these books, Steve. Your childhood ruined, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm watching over here on this monitor.
Yeah, your childhood ruined on Facebook. This is an artist that takes books from your childhood, our childhood, somebody's childhood, and changes it through graphic arts and gives us some laughs. So I don't know if you guys holler out if you had these books as a kid. A lot of these took me right back, Steve. How about you? I didn't have this one. Death by contact time. This poor thing. He's lift up on the devil's lettuce. I didn't have it. Did you?
No, I think I saw that one in the school library though.
That's
for the 8th graders.
I'm heavily medicated. This is a cautionary book as well. We're into the cautionary tales tonight, Steve. Don't let this happen to you. This poor kid needs help. He's crying out for help, I think. It could be. You think it could be in the self-help category, maybe, Steve? This Possibly. Is just when you're into the other things and things start getting really bad, and not only that, but you got to have everything. You got to outdo the other friends you're getting high with, and you wind up with something like this: The Case of the Overcomplicated Bong. This is a Nancy Drew mystery, Steve. Did you have Nancy Drew books?
I read the Hardy Boys, but I had female friends that read Nancy Drew. Kind of the same thing as the same author. They just used different pen names and things.
She'd get in there and dig in like a tick, boy. She'd solve that mystery. She didn't care who's what. I think her grandma was in on it too. Her mom was supportive. She had the freedom to go out there and explore. I can't remember her situation. Do you guys remember? Was she? But here she looks like Heidi, or some version of it. Heidi is a teenager. But anyway, I don't remember her situation, but I think she had a supportive family. She had a lot of time on her hands. She seemed to always have money. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Maybe she was, we don't want to start rumors about Nancy Drew. Let's move on, Steve. This is what I feel is my, job.
There you go.
And I think it's Steve's job. When
Shine a light on that bullshit.
Shine that light. Don't you let nobody cut it off. You see bullshit, call bullshit, shine the light on that bullshit, move the hell on. Just do what you can. And
bullshit will always come to light.
Absolutely. And sunlight is the best. Somebody just, I think one of the kittens just
Somebody took a dive back there.
Yeah, did you hear it?
Is Mario okay?
It's gone now. Yeah. Yeah, I think that was the boys. Did you guys see them earlier? How big they got? It's incredible. Yep. So, do this every chance you get. Don't, like I said, be careful. Don't get any of yours on theirs. Just shine a light on, walk away. Sometimes that's all we can do. This one here, let's pretend that everything isn't fucked. I've been doing that for about 25, 30 years.
Yeah, since my 30s anyway.
25, 30 years at least.
That's about right.
I didn't have this one. I think it would have been helpful if I had. It seems like it's for
should have spent more time in the kids' book section.
They're starting early. This could be one of the earliest forms of MK Ultra you've ever set eyes on, Steve. Because think about it. They're just conditioning them to just pretend it's okay. Fake it till you make it, right, Steve? Wasn't that a 60s saying? I think it was. Now, some of us feel like this. I think we're getting into self-help. But, there's a lot to be said for primal screaming, Steve. I don't know if you've ever tried it, but
I felt like it.
When it chips her down, let her rip. Just let it rip and then, again, move on. So you're screaming.
In fact, move on. That should be everybody's mantra.
You're shining the light. See, I'll tell you, guaranteed nobody's going to mess with you. Just go shining the light on people's bullshit and then primal screaming and then just leaving. Probably get away with it for a while.
Yeah, just declare this is bullshit,
advice.
And then scream at the top of your lungs, and then just
when all else fails, just get you one of these and say screw it. You know what I'm saying? Just you'll figure it out. That's funny. See, I told you we're helpful on Journey Through the Gate. This is how to get through your journey.
Wait, what's that one?
I don't even know. I can't see it.
Okay.
The third Ladybird book of British
There's
birds.
Some words there we can't say on YouTube, I believe.
Yeah, you bloody. Fill in
That's how you tell it's a British bird.
Starts with a C, ends with an S and an exclamation point. 2 letters. One's a vowel. Figure it out. Tell them what they win, Steve. Okay, this one, it only gets. I think this was nice because it's one of those nice refrigerator kind of things where you put up the motivational sayings, and it's an older frog patting I think it's a mouse. It could be a rat. It's hard to tell, but the frog is patting a rat. Yeah, it's a rat. And he's telling them it only gets worse. There's no sense in lying to people.
Yeah, that's like at these workplaces where they have those motivational. Yeah. That's what they need. When you walk in and you go to your cubicle to do your wage slave job, it only gets worse.
Just tell the truth. There's no sense in lying to people. This is what they're trying to do. They're trying to lie to kids in preschool. Did you see that book where it said just pretend it's okay? Mm-hmm. It only gets worse. So I guess you should fake it till you make it. I don't know. I don't need another prick on my back. Fuck the hell off. That's a good one. I've lost my grip on reality again. I just thought the cover was so nice. It never existed. She said that's almost like Alice sitting next to Dorothy on a park bench saying, I've seen some shit.
Blissful ignorance.
Similar. It's the older version of that. It's a remake. Your drinking is everyone's problem. Drinking is not funny, and if you have a problem with alcoholism, there are 800 numbers out there to help. It's not a laughing matter. I've lived through it, so I feel like I have the right to laugh at it because that's true, But I've been that bear, so I understand. We've all been the bear. We've all been the bear. Stop it.
And I've been in the crowd of people trying to get away from the bear, too.
I've got questions, Steve. I've wondered if you could help me with this one because I was never an Osmond girl. But does that look like the Osmonds?
I believe that is indeed Donnie Marie and Jimmy back there.
Isn't that Jimmy? I thought that could be Jimmy. And he's got an empty collar. I think he's lost a dog, but he looks happy about it.
Maybe Dope is the name of the dog.
Looking for Dope. It could be the name of the dog. I think it is, Steve. On the state fairgrounds. Yep, laxatives. Oh, she looks like she's.
I believe Marie. I believe that's their answer to where
eye. Did Marie?
Here's your answer to where the dope went. Ask Marie.
Does Marie have a lazy eye problem? I don't recall.
I don't think so.
Did Marie have a lazy eye? I know she had big teeth, but that could have been on purpose to draw your attention from the eye. Oh, those Osmonds are slick, boy. I'll tell you what, 39 cents. That's a bargain, Steve. You see that up there in the corner? That is a bargain.
Bargain at twice the price.
Buckle up, bitches. I'm coming. I love this so much. She knows what she's about. She's the girl on the go. She got her heels. Smart outfit, I think. And it says again the word I can't say.
Words ready
Are
for a
you
near-death experience?
Ready for a near-death experience? Just letting it all hang out.
With a bag of liquor, drugs, and weapons.
Absolutely.
Or
absolutely.
The words of Warren Zevon.
Putting it right out
lawyers,
on the front
guns,
porch
and money. The
where
shit
everybody can see it. Putting it right on the front porch where everybody can see it, Steve. She ain't messing around. I like her. I gotta be honest. I like her. I'd read this book. Y'all read that book. I think that's it. Oh no, wait, there's more. Nancy Drew. She's on it again. The Curse of the Hotel Pillow and the Mysterious Case of the Pink Eye. You know, I told you she got around, Steve.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, this one here might be getting up into the past the preteen.
You know, that's an old wives' tale or an urban legend or whatever. One of the ways you can get the pink eye is somebody farted on your pillow. So I guess that's who she's trying to solve. That's a mystery.
Is that an urban legend, Steve Stockton?
I've heard that.
Have you heard it? Are you making it an urban legend here tonight? If it isn't, or it is one already? Are you just?
I've heard that, seriously. And then when I was in Las Vegas,
stoking the fires of the urban legend.
I had a lot of Mexican people that worked for me, and they believed that you could get pink eye from watching a dog take a dump. I don't believe that one.
Wow.
But they told that for the truth of my right-hand man there, Luis. He told me that, and I said, "Oh, you're full of it." And he yelled over to another girl, Luisa, and he said, or no, not Luisa, something like that. And he said, "How do you get the pink eye?" And she said, "From watching a dog take a crap." And I'm like, "Okay, maybe so, but I've never."
Wow. Well, okay, folks.
Jalisa,
I'm telling you, when you watch this show, you need to have a pad and a pencil. Pad, paper. Do they make pencils anymore?
Take notes.
They do have pencils, right? Pad, pen. Something that writes and jot this stuff down and tuck it away. You never know when you're going to need it. I'm telling you, it's amazing. It really is. Nancy, she gets around. Okay, now this is another one where I got a question. Is that the guy from Emergency?
It does look a lot like Randy Mantooth.
That's right. Oh my God, that was his name. Oh my gosh, I remember that. Do you guys remember the show Emergency? And there was a dark-haired guy, and then there was his happy-looking kind of he was stocky, and he was blonde. He had that kind of Prince Valiant kind of haircut, and he was always smiling. He had that goofy smile. Kind of like a Hoss and Bonanza.
Randolph Mantooth and Kevin Tighe. Kevin Tighe was the other guy.
Name? Was this this is Mantooth, right?
Yeah,
that's who it is.
Mantooth.
They ripped this out of a coloring book. I can't see. And then also on that
show was Julie London. She played the nurse, and I don't remember there was a dark-haired doctor and then a blonde-haired doctor, and I can't remember his name, but he was married to Julie London, and he is the one that wrote Route 66.
Wow. See?
So there was a lot of history in that show.
Those pencils, man. You never know. You could be invited on to Jeopardy or something like that. And you laugh.
Or who wants to be a millionaire? Make me your lifeline. I'll help you.
I'll tell you. I love that. I love that show. It got a little crazy. You know, I liked it when it first started. I thought I could dig it. And I would say that.
They did a cartoon version, if you remember.
Don't call me on any geography crap. Don't call me on any of that mess. I'm not going to, but man, I got you in classical 70s, 60s, 70s music, most of the 50s. I got you in so many different categories. You know, to care
memes,
paranormal, you better
movie
call
quotes
me.
And song lyrics. And I got you on any of those.
Isn't it Mantooth? But I saw that just the outline. Isn't that incredible art to be able to do that?
That looks like a coloring book or something.
I saw Emergency.
And you got it right away. So they captured the essence of Randy Mantooth.
Didn't even bother to color it. Just let it go plain.
He was one of those. He was like on cover of Tiger Beat and 16 and all those magazines. He was a heartthrob. Kevin Tighe, not so much, but Randy Mantooth.
Is that the bouncy guy with the little Lord Fauntleroy haircut that was always smiling? Kind of like a young Hoss, but a little Tigger in him, but a little annoying too. I don't know his name. You got me, but I got to admit something too. It dawned on me right in the middle of Steve's sentence. Jackie Coogan. I had Jackie Coogan as being in with Charlie Chaplin in The Kid, but I didn't know who that was. I just thought he was a child star. I did not know he was Fester.
Uncle Fester.
I didn't know. See,
Uncle effing Fester. That
if
was
I
Jackie
did
Coogan
know
when
it,
he was a kid.
if I did know it, I forgot it. It might have been a time during. I don't ever recall knowing that. That's incredible that he lasted that long. That's what I started thinking about, and how different and how long he was in there. People got in there and they stayed in there for a while. This is a question I ask myself all the time when I, back in the day, but that's a good self-help book right there for everybody. There's a good, it's just freaky. Again, you might have some friends that you could pass this one out to. This is just so sad, Steve.
I want to have one of those little libraries outside in my yard that people build, I want to fill it with these books.
Where does your opinion come from?
Now that I like. That one I like. I know some people that could use that
shit
book.
Together, Charlie Brown. Amen and amen. We all kind of need to do that, but I revert back to the owl where I just kind of look at things and go, what the actual is wrong with everybody? But apparently it's been wrong with us for 100 years, Steve. I think we've kind of established that.
At least.
Thank you so much for doing this double scoop of Stockton.
Oh, my pleasure. I've had a wonderful
fun, right?
weekend met with the Small Town Monsters crew yesterday. Got the star treatment. They sent a car for me.
So happy.
Took me out to the set, to the location. Had catered. What can we get you, Mr. Stockton?
I love it.
I get used to this.
And
they're an independent production company, but they did it up right.
Any clue on when all this is coming out? Now it's coming out on Mysteries and Monsters or
Small Town Monsters.
Small Town Monsters.
It'll be on Amazon Prime Video and other streaming outlets, and it's available for digital download.
You'll let us know for sure, right?
DVD and Blu-ray. Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, if they're shooting it now, it'll probably be in the summer or something like that. But I believe this is the 17th documentary that Seth Breedlove has done, and they do a good job.
They do a good job, and I'm not sure if that's the one that Bowden was on with or not. I think they did something special on the Bigfoot because they did out here in the Pine Barrens, and then he was up in the all over the place.
Yeah, they've done the Jersey Devil, they've done Bigfoot, they've done UFOs, they've done Dogman.
I have so many friends
Beast
doing
of
this.
Bray Road. It's it was really cool to be a part of it and see behind the scenes. And I've got some pictures I'll be putting.
Remember when they tried to get me and you for the something in the woods? What was it? Terror in the Woods? No,
that was some kind of British outfit, and they want you to drive to Baltimore or something like that.
Philadelphia. Yeah, but we thought better of it, and the reason I said no in ultimate, and when it really come down to the choice, was I said I don't want them to take my story and screw around with it, because a lot of the shows that pump out,
once you turn it loose, they can edit it and make you say anything.
A lot of these shows are just like back in the band days where it was one recording company and a bunch of different, the same people would go out and do it, and they just give it another name. They throw it over to Canada.
The Wrecking Crew and the Swampers and Muscle Shoals. They played on more albums than you would believe.
They changed the names. It's like Terror in the Woods, and the next time it's Canada's Woods Are Haunted, or they just back and forth it. But that's the thing, is a lot of them will take it and take the pieces out of it and and just flip it all over the place and change it. And neither one of us wanted that. So he does a great job. I knew when you said you were working with him, you were in good hands.
Yeah, well,
so, Jack Kenna. All of them love it.
I know the producer really well, and she and I have been friends for years. I got her started in the paranormal. Yeah, she had some blog posts that
Heather
I liked. Yeah, Heather Mosier.
Yeah,
she's a classics professor, or I think she's the head of the department at Kent State University. and got her rolling in the paranormal. She narrated some stuff for 13 Past Midnight.
Did a great job.
Took off, and the podcast together. She's involved with this now and has been for quite a while, I think. But she wanted to bring me along with her. Sandy's going to be in it too.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, guys, I'll tell you what, 1923 is about suck me dry like a vampire in a teenage miniseries. So I'm telling you what, I'm tired, but I got to tell you, Steve, I'm thrilled that you all this, and I definitely want to talk about the whole Asbury Park thing. It's crazy over there, but I'll tell you what, there's a lot of old buildings, there's a lot of old places that are still open, and going through via the history angle of it. Seriously, paranormal, say what you want about it, but it's saved a lot of historical sites. So I'm definitely down, and I'm sure we could do something in that vein. But I appreciate everybody that's watched, and great comments and everything else. Please hit the like, share it out, and I hope you took something away from 1923. 100 years ago, I was amazed at the books, Steve, the horror, the talent of the authors and everything else. It's not just the ones that keep getting up there, to get the accolades and everything else. There's a lot of interest in the mysteries and the murder mysteries. Agatha Christie, for Pete's sakes, and the laughter, just like us. So very interesting tonight. Thank you guys so much. It was like a gem, to be able to find some of the stuff we watched tonight. So thank you to all the artists and all the gatekeepers, and thanks for being so cool in the chat to each other. I'm going to hand this back to the guy that started the whole thing a week ago, and you guys, this will be your outro, but if you want to watch it, it's Lon Chaney, and a lot of the things he did in the faces, and I think since he opened it, I'd like Mr. Chaney to close it for us. Good night, Steve. Thanks, baby, for sitting in.
Everybody. Cisco, love you, sweetheart.
I love you, darling.
I'll see everybody a little further
See you in a week, baby. Take care of it. Keep kicking ass. You know
it.
I love to see you smiling on both ends, honey.
Good
night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Professor Echo, God's gifted genius, the greatest ventriloquist of the age, the man of 100 golden voices, Professor Echo.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you. Now, folks, if you'll just gather around a little closer now. Come right in a little closer. That's it. That's fine. That's fine, folks. Now, then, if you'll be real quiet, I'll see if I can get the little boy to say something. Well, how are you today, Tommy? Oh, I'm feeling fine, thank you. Well, that's fine. Now, what are you going to sing for the folks today? She was a butterfly's daughter. Oh, he's going to sing She Was a Butterfly's Daughter. She was a butterfly's daughter, but he was a son of a bee. Well, how'd you like to hear Sweet Rosie O'Grady? Oh, Sweet Rosie O'Grady. One of the good old-fashioned songs, huh? Well, that's fine. I'm sure the folks would like to hear that. So, all right, let her go, Tommy. Sweet Rosie O'Grady, nice little love. She's nice pretty lady, no silly or no. Some will be married, some will be early. I'm a Rosie O'Grady, and Rosie O'Grady loves me. You know the old gag. That's all there is to life. Just a little laugh, a little tear. Oh, goodbye, Rosie. I'll be seeing you. Come on. Hey, you! You better come over and take care of this gal of yours. I'll send you a postal card.
For those of you that stayed, I'm going to finish off this block weekend of 1923 and tell you this little kind of secret story that I have. When I started doing this Monday morning, I felt this man walk in to my energy. And he was with me the whole time I was doing that, Monday into Tuesday. And it's been with me all week. And it's the coolest thing, I think, when you spend that kind of time with somebody, their energy, their memory, and you are appreciating what they gave this world. I think they do stop in for a moment, you know, and I got to feel a lot of his energy. And I can tell you, if I was back in the day, I'd have bought the man a beer. And it probably would have been one of the most interesting characters, you know, to spend time with. And I think I would have liked him quite a lot. I think you're right, Aunt Edna. There's a sadness in his eyes. You could feel that in his energy when he was walking through. And again, you know, not unlike a lot of the people that have crossed in my journey. But I'm very familiar with that. And it's been an absolute pleasure. So this weekend is dedicated not only to you guys, to the listeners, to the people in the chat, and you dear, dear people that make this everything that it is. And I appreciate being able to spend this time with you every weekend and do these things for you, excited to show them to you. This one's been special because it showed me so much. 100 years ago, they were just like us. And if not for them, if they didn't go before, where would we be? This is just but one man who gave his all in what he had to work with, you know, and left an indelible tattoo kind of on our lives, you know, and so many things stemmed from it. His very son went on to give us a Wolfman and the next and the next into the next into the next. The authors, the people who wrote the stories, the people who read the stories, who dared to dream, who was in that little farmhouse or in the barn, sitting on the hay, reading The Monkey's Paw and telling it around a campfire, to, you know, girls who just wanted to be a star and was tired of being lied to and turned down and tripped up and threw selves off of a letter that's become an icon for so many more that would do the same. But so many made it and made a little blip. Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, HP Lovecraft, all 100 years ago. And what does it all boil down to? How many more answers do we have than they had then? How much better off is the world? How much more comfortable? We're all fragile, and it all boils down to this. Tomorrow is promised to no one. Enjoy the journey. Learn from what you've been through. Don't waste a minute. It all comes down to what Lon Chaney Sr. said in his last movie, which happened to be a talkie, and we got to hear it. Just a little laugh, just a little tear. What he said right before that was, this is what life is all about. Make it count. Make it count, gatekeepers. Thanks, Lon. This is all dedicated to every artist and everybody who appreciates art. The people. I love you guys. Good night, everybody. See if I can find this. Thanks for being here. Thanks for staying. You never know what you're going to get. It's like a box of chocolates, right? All right, guys. Good night, and thank you, Lon. Like I said, I feel like I have spent the week with this man, and I feel like he's still here. So, good night, gatekeepers. Good night, Lon. Let me buy you a beer, baby. Good night, guys.